Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode and another week of The Christy Jones Show, where it's all about helping you find the ways to live your life to the fullest. And I am so excited for today's episode because I have a special guest for you that I know is going to bring you so much value. This month I'm focusing on health and wellness. So each episode this month is going to be tied into exactly that, something that you can put to use as well. So let me introduce you to Trey Triplette. He is a performance nutritionist and diabetes prevention program provider that utilizes natural methodologies and the latest technologies to analyze your diet, lifestyle factors, health information, your body measurements to consistently obtain positive outcomes and the results that will make you feel better and optimize your training, your performance, your recovery, as well as just your overall quality of life. His company, 3 Natural Bionutrition, advances the nutritional health and the performance of people like athletes, high performers, active people, former athletes, health conscious people, just like me and you, businesses, government agencies, armed forces members, those who are health stricken and are required to consistently perform at optimal levels to satisfy the needs of their profession, and people who just want to live a healthier, more energetic, and fit life. So I cannot wait to chat with Trey and let him just pour his knowledge into us. And so without further ado, let's get going and let's dive in. Welcome to the Christy Jones Show. This is your go-to podcast for living life to the fullest. I am a life and empowerment coach, speaker, and business owner in multifamily real estate. I am a woman passionate about helping others build a life that they truly desire. We'll talk about how to make the most out of every day, from setting meaningful goals to embracing the present moment. So join us as we explore the depths of living a life that is full of joy, purpose, and satisfaction. Well, welcome back, everyone, for another week of the Christy Jones Show. Like I mentioned earlier, I am so excited for the guest I have today, Trey Triplette. And I know he's going to bring so much value to you, to me, to anyone that's going to listen to this. This is definitely going to be a podcast that you're going to want to share with a friend. So let me go ahead and dive in. Like I mentioned in the introduction earlier, that I'm got a special guest, Trey Triplette, here with me. I'm so glad he's here with me. He's a performance nutritionist and diabetes prevention program provider, owner of 3B Natural Bionutrition. Trey, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all the things nutrition, because that's your area of expertise. And it's really, nutrition is an area that, like, anyone, my podcast and my listeners, I'm always sharing about ways to live their life fully. And health and wellness is like one of the things for sure. And nutrition's a way that we all can level up our life in some way, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Applies to everybody.
I know you serve a wide range of people, and you, from athletes, professional athletes, college athletes, younger athletes, former athletes, high performers, and then people even like me, like really self-conscious and self-aware of our nutrition, right? We're really health conscious. And we want to, make that area of our life somewhere that we really thrive in. So your spectrum of the people that you're able to help is you cast that net wide because it applies to so many people. So tell me a little bit about, for the people that you serve, tell me a little bit about when they come to you, like, what are they coming to you for?
Well, people are coming to me to find an alternative or solutions to maybe some issues that they've been dealing with, some historical health issues, some lingering problems, any chronic issues. Looking for a way to remedy that through a natural and sustainable approach and method. Um, so they kind of maybe have tried different routes before in terms of maybe doing some things independently, or have tried maybe to work with the medical association in terms of prescription medication and things like that. And they're looking for ways to just kind of do that more sustainably, more healthier, more in a holistic manner.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's really one of the reasons that drew me to what you do, and why I ended up, I haven't even said yet to the listeners that I've actually been a client of yours on multiple occasions. And that's that holistic, more natural methodologies. That's kind of what really drew me to what you do, because you just have a different way of approaching it. And I really thought that was beneficial. And I want to talk about too, how I met you real quick, because got to give credit where credit's due, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I met you when I was at CTF as a working out and doing my training there.
Yes.
And my son was a NFL free agent at the time, and he was training there as well, and also working with some clients. And so I remember him coming to me and saying, "Hey, you really need to talk to Trey, because you worked with a lot of athletes there at Carney Training Facility." And he said, "You need to talk to this guy. You need to talk to him." Because at that time, I was kind of some of the things you just mentioned. Like yes, I was in shape. Yes, I've always been into fitness. I'm very driven in that area of my life. That area of my life's always been very important. But I was coming to this, I was in my late 40s. I was hitting this place where I was so exhausted all the time. I had kind of like this, no matter what I did, I just couldn't kind of get over the hump, if that makes sense. And then I sat down with you, and we did I did that program that where you did all the had me do my labs and the blood work and all that.
Oh yeah, got some blood work done and took a look at all those different biomarkers. That really provides a lot of clarity and a lot of transparency to what's going on. Yep.
100%. So that's how I started with you. And that right there was the turning point. That was like the missing little part of what I needed to really shift how I felt. And then I was able to, make more gains in not just in my quality of life, like how I felt. I had sustained energy throughout the day. I mean, it was a process. I mean, it was, but you guided me through that. And I've still been able to utilize the things that you've taught me about nutrition to this day. So I really, that's how I met you, and that's how I came across you. And I'm so glad I did, because, and I know you work with all the, you work with the wide range. You work with the real important people.
Yeah, but you're important as well, and you are just as competitive as most of the athletes I work with. I mean, you put in the work, you were on top of it, asking great questions, and and consistent. So that's kind of what brought it all together is on your end, in terms of just having that competitive mind state and kind of really wanting to find a solution and make it work.
So what drew you to this profession of wanting to go into being a certified performance nutritionist? Like, give us a little backstory so people know, like, what was your deal getting here?
Yeah, so being an athlete my entire young adult life in high school and college, I was always able to maintain good shape and manipulate my body, so to speak, in a lot of different ways that I wanted to. But I never learned the nutritional aspect. Nutrition has come a long way in the college landscape than what it was when I was in college. There's a lot more resources, a lot more staff and technology that's involved now. But what really piqued my curiosity was I moved to San Francisco, and one of the things I do when I move new places is I'll go out a certain distance from where I'm living. I don't know where I'm going. I kind of almost put myself to where I'm going to get lost and try to find my way back home so I can learn the landscape. And in the midst of doing that, I came across so many farmers markets and organic stores, and I saw just the abundance of organic food signs and farmers markets, and just a close proximity in a high density manner. That I was like, "What's going on here?" I said, "I've never seen that before." So that piqued my curiosity to a point where I started to kind of educate myself a little bit and understand that as far as farm to table and the organic process and the non-GMO process. And I kind of reached a peak to where I couldn't kind of reach my peak of what I could do independently. And so at that point in time, I went in and enrolled in a program and a startup certification process. And then as I was learning this stuff, I started trying it out on myself. and kind of use myself as a guinea pig. And when I was doing it, I was seeing different results. And not only was I seeing it, that the people that I was in close proximity to, they started seeing it. And they were like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, okay, I might have something here. Um, so I just learned these different concepts, and it was just very interesting to me. And one thing I like that I still like about nutrition is that it allows me to be competitive in a similar landscape to when I was playing sports. Because you can learn how to do different things. There's so much information and data that you can really go down the rabbit hole pretty easily. And so I enjoyed that and just learned so much in that regard. And I had a passion for it. A lot of subjects and things that I was in class for, I was just doing it, just because you have to, and
Yeah.
you have to go through that process. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed, and I would look forward to going to class. I was doing all my homework, and I was asking great questions, and just totally engaged. And
Yeah.
so that really got me going. It kind of really piqued my interest. And once I started trying these techniques and different principles and aspects that I was learning on myself, and started seeing the differences, and people were seeing the differences, I would have really randomly people that would come up to the gym I was at the time and say, "Hey, are you a trainer? I want you to train me." I said, "No, I'm not a trainer." And they would say, "Hey, well, I don't care. I still want you to train me." I said, "Well, oh my goodness." I say, "Well, I didn't want to go into the training aspect because I was going to nutrition. That's what I enjoyed doing." But I said, "Okay, well, if I can get that type of response from a random person, I probably should kind of maybe pursue this a little more and see what I can make of this." And so that's how I got that going. And I really just at that point, I did a little survey of the landscape and seeing what was offered in the nutrition arena, and I
Mhm.
wanted to bring something different to the table. I
Mhm.
would definitely wanted to bring a natural, holistic approach, and I
Mhm.
wanted to incorporate many different aspects as far as the blood work and the body composition testing and every those different aspects. I
Mhm.
wanted to incorporate all those things to kind of bring something to the market that I felt was not there or is not there in abundance.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. That's really a great story. I love that. And shout out, who's your alma mater? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you play?
I went to LSU. LSU. We didn't
LSU.
look too good last week, but we've still got a good program. Yeah.
That's right. No, that's great. No, I love that. And I think the fact that, your life, you've been so disciplined, focused, you compete with others, you compete against yourself. I mean, all of that makes sense why going into nutrition was like that area that you could, take your A game and apply it there too. And then help others in that process with everything that you've learned. So
Yeah.
very cool. Very
It's
cool.
almost like there's unlimited potential. I mean, it's almost you're
Yeah.
competing with yourself. You can go as far as you want, and the only limits really are yourself. And so I was just intrigued by that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question because I feel like my listeners are, when it comes to nutrition, it's like that. Okay, they start exercising and they're like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
gonna do that. And it seems like nutrition sometimes is like that little thing that's on your shoulder that's like, you need to kind of dial it in, but for a variety of reasons, we resist it, right? I mean,
Yes.
different reasons for
Yes.
all of us. And so you're at that point where you're like, okay, I know that I would feel better. I'm working out, I'm moving my body, I'm doing all the things, but I know I would actually feel better if I would fuel my body in the right way. So
Yes.
what do you think are some just general, really common misunderstandings when it comes to nutrition? That whenever
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we're passing somebody and meeting somebody, you had like 5 minutes with them just to be like, hey, I mean, what would you share on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna back into that question. I think that the pretext or what makes this situation happen is that there's a lot of emotional, familial,
Mhm.
and cultural aspects revolved around food. Okay, and a lot
100%.
of times we associate food with different points throughout our life and our childhood, and we
Mhm.
become accustomed to having these certain foods or not having these certain foods because maybe we tried it one time when we were a kid and we didn't like it, we never go back to it. So there's a lot of that goes on to create that situation. Okay,
Mhm.
um, and then as far as misconceptions, it's like eating less or skipping meals is beneficial or help get you to where you want to be in terms of losing weight and things like that.
Mhm.
Counting calories,
Mhm.
okay, and then going on various kind of fad diets and programs as far as I'm going to go on a 7-day detox and drink nothing but lemon juice and water, or I'm going to just go on a smoothie diet and just drink nothing but smoothies for 14 days. Those different things, those are a lot of misconceptions because they seem like there's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. It seems very like, hey, just from a number standpoint, if I just drink everything, I don't eat anything, I should lose weight. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always work like that because our biology is very complex. And our body has a way of resisting that and kind of going into a fight or flight mode and really pushing back on that approach. Um, Calories are a big one because people we've been kind of conditioned to look at calories and what those represent. But if you dig a little bit deeper and peel that back a couple layers, calories are not very transparent and they don't communicate the entire picture of what you're consuming. A lot can go overlooked or unnoticed, even missed when you're looking at calories as opposed to macros. So macros are going to be your proteins, your fats, your carbohydrates. Those provide a lot more context, clarity, and detail than calories ever will. So that right there. And then eating infrequently or skipping meals. A lot of time we want to say, hey, if I just eat less, I'll lose weight. Again, your body has a way of pushing back and fighting against that from a fight or flight method. Your body, when you do that, your body will simply your biology is going to win over the majority of the time in that situation. And what I mean by that is your body is going to maintain, is going to preserve, it's self-preservation. Your body is going to preserve and have a stronger will to succeed than you will physically and tangibly in what you're doing. And so your body will simply retain what you already have and what minimally that you are consuming, it will retain that for in storage, and it'll utilize that for energy and everything else like that. In the process, you will feel more fatigued and like a day's gonna probably have some brain fog, but your body will still be able to sustain itself, and that will actually slow your metabolism down and prevent you from losing the weight you want to lose. So it's when we kind of go to these extremes and not really dial in the fundamentals and get a foundation as far as what we're doing, that's when we see temporary gains. We see more fatigue. We see less quality of sleep. We see even maybe some weight gain because there's not a foundational aspect in there that's applied that's going to be sustainable and that's going to align with our body chemistry, our biochemistry.
That's spot on. I couldn't agree more. I think those are all really like things like you talked about the calories and really it's more about what you said about what those calories are consisted of, the macros and all of that. And I remember you teaching me that you had that spreadsheet and, it took a minute for my brain to get wrapped around it. But then when I did, it was really what I loved about what you were basically coaching me on at the time. And what you probably coach, all of your clients on is understanding better, like how to make the right choices.
Yes.
So that the calories you're eating are counting. But you also had a way I really liked when you just talked about like, you grow up, you're used to certain traditions, certain foods, and then you start thinking you have to let go of all of the things that are pleasurable or you enjoyed at family get-togethers or whatever. But you find a way to still work some of that in, right?
Right. And I'm a big proponent of, especially when I meet somebody new and we're developing a relationship, if I come straight out of the gate and say, hey, you can have this, you can't have this, don't eat that,
Yeah.
you're going to look at me crazy, give me probably some resistance, and it's not going to be sustainable. Now I've just kind of killed the mood and said, hey, you can't even ever have some of the things you previously enjoyed ever again. Instead of that, I look at it as, okay, we can pretty much incorporate the overall majority of things that you've been consuming. We just have to do it in a different way and also take into account quality and timing. If you do those two things and incorporate those two things together, then you can have just about most of the stuff that you've been consuming. We just got to do it in a different way because at the end of the day, this has to be enjoyable. Okay, especially if you're not shooting for being a pro athlete or being an Olympic star, that's a whole different mentality, right? But the approach is very similar in the sense that it's got to be enjoyable. It's got to be sustainable. You got to enjoy this process to some degree. All right. If it feels like a chore and it's something that you're dreading doing, it's not going to last long. Right. So you got to find that middle ground to where, hey, it's structured, but it's some flexibility, but it's also enjoyable and not rigid.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I love that. Sustainable see, that's the thing is, and women in general, because I have a lot of women listeners, we fall into that, those little, I've never been a dieter. I I don't know if you remember, but I have hypoglycemia. So I'm always been a constant eater. But so I've never really been on the diet train, but I know a lot of women, they find out like what, it's that fast way to lose weight or to, whatever. And this never made sense to me. I mean, it's like, that's not sustainable. It's like you said, it's like find a way to have nutrition that you can still accomplish your goals for what you want, for whatever's going to make you feel good and whatever it is that you're setting out to do, but do something that's sustainable. So I love that you use that word over and over. That's so important.
Yeah. It's I think it's really important to also understand and buy into the process and understand, and there's an educational component. You have to understand why we're doing certain things, understanding, when to do certain things, because it's just like a football coach, right? If you give example of a college football coach, game on Saturday, okay? Monday through Friday, you're practicing, okay? Saturday, coach can't go in there and correct their mistakes in real time. He's got to prepare you Monday through Friday for Saturday. Right. So I've got to do the same thing. I've got to bring you along, prepare you, because at some point, you're going to not have access to me. You're going to be on your own. You're going to be at a family event. You're going to be out of town. And you've got to be able to do these things independently. So that's part of the process, preparing you so you understand and educate and know why we're doing things, so that at some point, when you're in a situation where you got to do it alone, you can do it successfully.
Exactly. I know, because I kind of, at first, I remember when you started out with me and I looked at my list and I thought, I don't know. I'm thinking in my brain, I don't know, Trey, that seems like a lot to eat. I don't know. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But I will tell you that 100%, and I think I've shared this with you before when I've seen you in person, is that combining my proper type of training, and because I love to compete. I love to, work out hard. I love to really challenge myself. And so I've got to back it up with fueling myself the right way. And then you taught me the way to do that. But I kind of went kicking and screaming at first, because in my brain, even though I wasn't vocalizing it to you, I was like, oh my God. But I am at 53, I have more muscle tone, and it's been able to like help me build my body and strengthen my body and support my training and help me in my recovery of, workouts or just just whatever. And so the big picture, it finally, like that's kind of like when things come full circle and you finally see the big picture. But at first I thought, oh gosh, I'm not hungry. I got to have another, it was another piece of protein, or you taught me some great ways to make my omelets, and things to add in my breakfast in the morning and stuff like that. So those things I've carried with me. But yeah, at first I thought, I don't know. I mean, what is that? What's that mean? And how's that going to feel? That just seems like it was just kind of like I was a little nervous at first, like I think most people are. But then
and
you
that's
see
to be
the
expected.
results. And you feel the results.
That's yes, you do, and that's to be expected. Like I say, it's usually a drastic change from the way that you've been previously doing things. All change isn't bad, right? Change can be good. It's a little bit of the fear of the unknown. Everybody's different, but I enjoy the questions. When people ask me why, I enjoy that, because that tells me that, hey, you have a desire to understand why we're doing it, and you want to know what's the reason behind that. Because if you can understand the reason behind that, sometimes it'll make a lot more sense, and now you'll understand and have more internal motivation to kind of follow along that approach, right? And so I love the questions. I think that's great. I think to me, that's kind of indicative of more success, is the more questions that you ask. In my opinion, that's what I've seen. Because I think you just have a greater understanding.
Yeah, 100%. Totally. Okay. What is it called again, where the program you have where you can, have the blood work done, and is it the bioanalytics or?
Yeah. So that program is called the Bioanalytic Nutrition Program, and that involves taking a look at a series of biomarkers that take a look at everything from your blood sugar levels to your liver functionality to your hormones, the complete white blood cell panel, red blood cell panel. We take a look at the muscle fatigue indication in terms of are you overtraining? What else here? Vitamin D, magnesium, hydration, potassium, and sodium. It really takes a look at pretty much everything across the board. And the way I always communicate it is, if the blood work is utilized, I can tell how you're training, how you're sleeping. Oh, cortisol as well. How you're sleeping, how you're training, and even what you're eating without asking you a single question.
Wow. Wow. So you can't lie on anything. We can't be like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And then you're going to get the results and be like, no, you ain't.
Yeah, the data always reveals that ultimately your transparency and clarity. So always kind of, it's that tiebreaker, right?
Yeah. No, and working with a nutritionist, there has to be a lot of trust and a lot of, it's basically, I encourage people to build a circle of people that help you show up as your best. And you were one of my people. You were one of my people that I considered on the team to help me really make sure, and especially as I was going through midlife and transitioning from 40s to 50s, I really wanted to make sure that I was doing everything that I could to be the best version of me and show up and feel my best and do my best and compete my best and all that. So, I think that the bioanalytics, I think, is super helpful. I remember that you also got me, on the path of understanding the importance of you mentioned vitamin D, you mentioned magnesium. I mean, the things that I needed to supplement, you gave me that roadmap for that. And it made a world of difference. 100%.
Yeah, it's just to create a total sustainable roadmap. And for us ultra competitive people, I don't care if I go try a sport to play with somebody leisurely. If I haven't ever played that sport before, I expect myself. I want to be an expert and beat that person the first time I play it. And I get a little upset if I'm not. Just that competitive nature of me. And so, you find a little bit of
the
that.
Truth's coming out. The truth's coming out on Trey.
That's good to have, in terms of a big picture form, but you got to kind of dial back to a sense to where, and don't take it the wrong way when you're not exceeding or meeting your internal goals right away. It's a little bit of a process. It takes some time. Don't get discouraged. I'm very aware of that because I'm a little bit like that myself, and so communicating the right way, being more encouraging, being more supportive, and kind of crafting my words to can we and let's try this instead of communicating like you're at fault or you did something wrong. I'm very cognizant about that, and I work hard not to do that. So I want to be more supportive.
100%. Yeah, totally. Well, you do a great job of that. You were always like, you never made me feel like I didn't know enough or like, why are you asking me that again? So you definitely have the people skills to really make us not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm scared to ask Trey or I'm scared to text him again. Right. So I know you work with, let's say someone listening has, they're not an athlete, but maybe their kid is, like, a lot of, like I said, I got a lot of women that listen, and we got kids that are, high school, maybe off to college or what have you, and that are student athletes. So just real quick, can you share a little bit of, like, you work remotely with people. So tell me a little bit about, like, how you help those individuals. So they might be like, oh, I know so-and-so, or my kid needs to, and a lot of times isn't it like sometimes putting on weight or leaning up or just really getting in their best shape. So you work with them remotely, right?
Correct, right. The location is not any type of barrier. I do a lot of things remotely and video and phone or what have you. And so nutrition, especially in that adolescent stage with younger athletes, is extremely important. They're in a developmental phase. You want to make sure they have strong bones, they have a lot of energy, they're recovering well, sleeping well, things like that. For those that really have a desire, want to, or see themselves being, one of the better players, or even wanted to play at the next level in college, there's something called the eye test. And even at the high school level, there's something called the eye test. Okay. If you look like the part, you're more inclined to get the opportunity to fulfill and play that part. Okay. A lot of this at this age is projection. It's not where you are currently, it's where you're trending to, and what is your rate of improvement. They, what coaches want to see, and what's desired to be seen is a trajectory of always moving forward. Okay, it could be a little bit slower, it could be a little bit faster, but they want to see that trajectory. Nutrition is really a lot of the missing piece at that level. A lot of guys will spend a lots of time and resources training and going to practice, but if you're not eating right, you're missing a lot. You're leaving a lot on the table in many aspects. And when you get to that next level, you're going to be introduced to a lot of different things that haven't been uh, introduced to you previously. And if you can have a base and understanding of not only your body, what works for you, and how nutrition works in your situation, you're going to be way ahead of your other classmates that you will be at that level, and you get to those different levels.
That's excellent. That's such good advice. So spot on. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you have your kid is a student athlete, or you know of someone of a relative or family member, friend, I think that is definitely one of the missing components of really just to be the best at what you're doing at that level is the nutrition marker. So can you share with us a little bit before we close out? Can you, what can you share with us in regards to hydration? Because I know I learned a lot about hydration from you.
Okay.
So take it away on hydration.
Yeah. So
I'm taking a drink of electrolytes and water real quick, by the way, too. So there you go.
Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, so you're doing both right now. So there is a vast difference between drinking water and hydration. Hydration is totally different. Hydration is the consumption of electrolytes. There are four, maybe five main electrolytes, but and those are magnesium, calcium, chloride, potassium, and sodium. Potassium and sodium are going to have the most influence on hydration. And that's because when you perspire and are working out or sweating, you're losing predominantly sodium. On average, you're going to lose about 1,600 milligrams of sodium per hour. If you sweat more, you're going to lose more. If you sweat less, you're going to lose a little bit less. Okay, that's just on an hourly basis. Sodium is responsible for what's called extracellular hydration. So that's going to be the hydration outside of the cell walls, outside of the mitochondrial cells, pretty much right at the skin, beneath the skin level. That's why you lose sodium when you sweat, because it's most closest to the surface of your skin.
Okay.
Potassium is responsible for intracellular hydration. So that's inside the actual cells is where potassium works. So you want to have a balance between the two. And then the chloride helps facilitate the two in terms of allowing that sodium and potassium, sodium and potassium to travel between those cells. Magnesium does a lot for cramps and preventing cramps and things like that. Quick story, I had a young man who I worked with at one time. He was a high school football player, and he was having cramps that were so bad that he was having to be taken out, away from the game in an ambulance and go to the ER. Okay. Wow. After doing blood work with him, we quickly were able to reveal that he was deficient in magnesium. Okay. Got him on a very good magnesium supplement. He hasn't had a cramp since. It's been 3-4 years now. Hadn't had one single cramp since. Nothing close, not even a minuscule cramp. But that level of hydration is very, very important from a cognitive standpoint, from a energy standpoint, to preventing cramps and lactic acid buildup. So hydration is much, much different than drinking water. Although our bodies are 70 or 80% water, when it comes to perspiring, sweating, being active, physically active, sports, hydration is that next level in what's needed to ultimately compete at the highest levels and have the most success.
Wow, I can't believe that magnesium was such the big game changer for.
Yes.
And wow. So, and also for hydration, like it also seems that, and I remember you telling me that, because I felt like I was drinking it was exactly what I needed, but it seemed like I was just training myself to take in fluid, take obviously the other supplements and whatnot, but Once I did that and I was leveling up, really consistently hydrating the right way, then I also started to see effects with it. Helped in weight loss. It helped with
Absolutely.
Okay, everyone deals with this, but I know women, we complain about it all the time, but we feel bloated. Hello, like when hydration is off, I feel more bloated. Is that like connected somehow?
Yeah, it's when we drink excess amounts of water, it can create that feeling. Um,
No, but when I don't drink enough water, I
oh, you
feel
don't drink enough
more,
water.
yeah,
Okay,
like I'll feel bloat,
okay.
like, you know what I'm saying? But when I drink enough water and stay hydrated, everything just runs better, is how I'll say it.
So when you're drinking adequate amounts of water, not only does it assist in hydration and quenching our thirst, that also is a catalyst towards helping our body filter out toxins and waste products. And so, without that, it helps kidney function, it helps liver function. So, when you have a lack of water in your system, now these different toxins and waste products have an ability to accumulate and not be filtered out through your system, which can cause some gastrointestinal discomfort. They can cause some also bloating. But in addition to that, lack of also water consumption can cause those same feelings, because now if you're consuming food and different things like that, there's nothing liquid. There's no type of liquid that's coming down the pipeline to mix with that water, to mix with that food to create what's called bile to help filter that out of your system. So now it's just like you have food that's being consumed. There's no liquid to mix with that, and so now that food is just almost like sitting there and not moving through your body as it should, which can create a sense of bloating as well, and a sense of a fullness and uncomfortability.
Wow. You know what I love about you? I love a lot of things about you, Trey, but you know what I love about you? One of the things I love about you is you can take a topic and you can just like talk about it in a way that us regular people that aren't brainiac nutritionists, that we get it. I love that. Like seriously, I'm following your story, like I'm visualizing, and it's just, yeah. So you have that ability to take something that sometimes seems really complex to us, that we want to do better, we want to eat better, and we want to feel better and all the things. But that's one of the things I love about you, is you have a way to like explain it,
Yeah,
break it
thank
down,
you, thank you.
and
And
then
I think communication is a huge part of that. Some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, and so I want to make sure that I communicate in a way that's understood, because there's a copious amounts of information out here available. There's a lot of complicated processes and things that go on, but I need to explain it to you in a way that you can decipher, not in a way that's easy for me to communicate. And so that for me is mandatory in order to ultimately get the type of success and buy-in and obtain the results that we want to see. So I think the dissemination of information is extremely important, because there's a lot of information out there, but a
Mhm.
lot of it is in a manner to where it's not decipherable, or we just can't make sense of it. And so
Yeah.
I think I want to play a positive role in that regard, and able to kind of bridge that.
Well, you definitely do that. So know that you definitely do that.
Thank
I
you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that part about you. Okay, so if someone is like, yeah, I need to get my nutrition game like leveled up, or I need to learn more about what my body needs, or whatever, I need coaching in this area, how do they find you? What's the best way for them to talk to you?
Yeah, the most direct route would be give me a call or text. It's 833-362-8246. You can also go to my website. It's 3naturalbionutrition.com, the number 3 followed by naturalbionutrition.com. Contact me on there, on all the different social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find me on there. All those different links are on my homepage at the very bottom in the footer page. So Telegram, you name it, all these different platforms, I'm on it. But I'm more than welcome to receive calls and texts and emails. And so, any way that is you comfortable, you can reach me, that I'm available, then go for it.
Awesome. And you're based out of San Diego, but you obviously work with clients all over,
Yeah,
correct?
all over. Location is not a barrier for me. I'm able to bridge that gap in terms of remote work and things like that. And so, wherever you're located, I'm happy to help you and can help you. And so we can make it work.
Trey, thank you so much for your time today. I know that everyone's going to walk away from this episode and be like, Wow. Okay. There's something and feel like there's something they can do to take action to better their health. And what we fuel our body with, it matters. It totally matters. So thank you so much
Yes.
for your time today, Trey. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I've enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, if you love this episode, share it with a friend, tag someone that needs to hear it, because this applies to so many people. So I've told you, Trey's told you how you can reach out to him. I highly encourage you to do that because he is a man of his word. He knows how to communicate to you. And I've been a client of his myself. So I'm really glad that he agreed to come on the episode and the podcast today, because I've had such tremendous gains by following the things that he's taught me. So anyways, till next time, we'll see you later.